Alrighty, SY Sports back with another college football video. Now we're on to Pac-12 schedule ratings, where I'll be going through the toughest, or what I believe is the toughest, through the weakest schedules throughout the Pac-12. Now bear with me because this is going to take a while as I go through each and every team's individual schedule. I won't list them on the screen, but I'll just list them off on this piece of paper that I got here, and yeah, we'll go from there. So starting off with the toughest schedule, at number 1 is Colorado, which I have a rating of 27.87. So in previous videos, I've stated that anything above 27 is usually a little more difficult. Anything below 25 is usually a little more easy, and anything in between is just kind of what you would call your average schedule, where it's mostly just you play your division teams and you play decent out-of-conference games. So Colorado, 27.87. They get TCU at home. They do go to Air Force. Now, Air Force is never really talented, but they're triple option. They recruit about 70 guys a year, so those non-rated players usually play way above of what their rating says. And I'm not sure if Air Force is a tough place to play, but knowing Colorado isn't a dominant team, that should be I would say, a difficult road game. You have to go to Minnesota in the Big Ten. Then you get UCLA at home. You go to Arizona. You get Cal from the north at home. You go to Oregon State in the north. You get Arizona State at home, which I have as the worst talented, or the least talented team out of all Power 5 conferences. You get Oregon at home, so that's good. You go to USC, however. You go to Washington, and you get Utah. You get Utah at the end of the season. So that last 4 games is Oregon at home, at USC, at Washington, and Utah, all in the top 4 of the Pac-12 talent ratings. Coming in at number 2 is Oregon, at a rating of 27.76. Now they started the season at a quote-unquote neutral site game in Georgia. Well, the game's played in Georgia, so that's really just a road game. So I put that down as a road game. So I said at Georgia, which is a tough place to play, and against a good team. You get Eastern Washington at home. You get BYU at home. However, BYU I'm very high on this year, and I expect them to be one of the best, if not the best, Group of 5 teams. You go to Washington State. You get Stanford at home. You go down to the desert in Arizona. You get UCLA at home from the south. You go to Cal, to Colorado. You get Washington at home, Utah at home, and then you have your rivalry game against Oregon State on the road. So at Georgia, you get a good Group of 5 team coming. You go to Pullman, Washington State, where it's never easy to win. You do get Stanford at home, but they're one of the better talented teams. You get Arizona on the road, more improved. UCLA should be more improved, but that's at home. You go to Cal, to Colorado back-to-back. You get Washington, that's home. You do draw Utah from the south, so that's tough. And then you, like I said, at Oregon State. Coming in at number 3 is Stanford, at a rating of 27.51. Now, they start the season off against Colgate, but then they get USC at home. They go to Washington, to Oregon. So 3-game stretch of USC at home, at Washington, at Oregon. Then you get Oregon State at home. Then you go to Notre Dame. You draw Arizona State, so that's at home, so that shouldn't be too bad. You go to UCLA. You get Washington State at home. Then you go to Utah, to Cal, and then you finish the season home against BYU. So tough stretches in there. Coming in at number 4 is Utah, at 27.29. They start the season going all the way over and down to Florida. Tough place to win in the swamp. Then you get South Utah at home. You get San Diego State, who was one of the better teams, Group of 5 teams last year. And they should be pretty good again this year, but you get them at home. And you go to Arizona State, never easy to win in the desert. You get Oregon State at home. You go to UCLA, and you get USC at home. So at UCLA and home against USC back-to-back. Then you go to Washington. You go to Washington State. You get Arizona at home. You get Stanford at home. Then you end the season at Oregon, at Colorado. So kind of like Stanford's, few tough stretches in there. Coming in at number 5 is Arizona, the rating of 27.12. Start the season at San Diego State, like I said previously, one of the better Group of 5 teams last year. Get them on the road week 1. That'll be tough. You get Mississippi State, but it's at home, so that'll be interesting. You get North Dakota State, who's always been like the best FCS team, at home. Then you go to Cal. You get Colorado at home. You get Oregon, but it's at home. You go to Washington right after Oregon. So listen to this. You go Oregon at home, at Washington. Then you get home against USC. Then you go to Utah, to UCLA. That's a tough 5-game stretch. And you get Washington State and Arizona State at home to end the season. So an easier way to end the season. Coming in at number 6, Oregon State, the Beavers, at 26.89. Oregon State gets Boise State at home to start the season. Then they go to Fresno State, so 2 of the better group of 5 teams. You get Montana State at home. You draw USC at home. Then you go to Utah, to Stanford. Tough 3-game stretch. You get Washington State, Colorado. A little easier. Then you go to Washington. You get Cal at home. Then you go all the way down to the desert, Arizona State. Not very talented, but like I said, tough place to win. Then you end the season with the Civil War at home against Oregon. Coming in at number 7, USC, 26.36 rating. They start the season home against Rice. Then week 2 they go to Stanford. That's tough for a week 2 game. Then you get Fresno State, who's going to be pretty good at home. Then you go to Oregon State, get Arizona State at home, Washington State at home. Then you go to Utah, to Arizona. You get Cal at home, Colorado at home. Go to UCLA, and then you end the season against Notre Dame at home. So at Stanford, at Oregon State could be rough. At Utah, at Arizona could be tough. At UCLA and Notre Dame to end the season. So couple game stretches in there. Coming in at number 8 is Cal, the rating of 25.54. Start the season off against UC Davis, UNLV. Then you go to Notre Dame. You get Arizona at home. Then you go to Washington State, to Colorado. Then you have Washington, Oregon at home. Then you go to USC, to Oregon State, and then you end the season home against Stanford and UCLA. So schedules are starting to look a little easier, but they still have to go to Notre Dame. I guess Washington State. I mean, they go to Colorado. You have to go to USC. Luckily, you host Oregon, and you go to Oregon State. Alrighty, coming in at number 9, Washington State, the rating of 25.05. Start the season off easy against Idaho, but then you go all the way to Wisconsin on the road. And you get Colorado State at home. Luckily, you get Oregon and Cal at home. Then you go to USC, to Oregon State, Utah at home. Then you go at Stanford, get Arizona State at home. Then you go to Arizona. Then you get Washington at home. It's a weird schedule. Go from going to Wisconsin, then you get Oregon at home, then you go to USC, to Oregon State, then you get Utah at home in the middle of then going to Stanford. And then you go from at Stanford to getting Arizona State at home and then going to Arizona. It's weird. Coming in at number 10, Arizona State, the rating of 24.80. So with them having a low talent rating, the easier this schedule is, maybe they don't look as bad this year. They start the season off against Northern Arizona at home, but then they go to Oklahoma State. That's a tough road game. Then you get Eastern Michigan at home. Luckily, you get Utah at home. Then you have to go to USC. You get Washington at home. And you go to Stanford, so 2 of the better South teams. Stanford's in the North. So you get USC on the road, Stanford on the road, and then Colorado on the road. Then you get UCLA at home. Then you get Washington State on the road. Oregon State at home, and then at Arizona. So really, at Oklahoma State, at USC, at Stanford, and maybe at Arizona are your toughest games, because home games should be easier. I mean, you got the home crowd there, but Arizona State might be different this year, because who knows how many fans are going to show up for them with how badly everything's gone at that program this offseason. Number 11, Washington, rating of 24.26. You get Kent State and Portland at home. You get Michigan State at home. You get Stanford at home. So your first month is all at home, but then you go to UCLA, to Arizona State, two tough road games. You get Arizona at home. Then you go to Cal. Shouldn't be too big of a away game. You get Oregon State at home. You do have to go to Oregon. You get Colorado at home, and then you go to Washington State for their rivalry game. So I guess the road rivalry game at UCLA, at Arizona State could be tough, and then at Oregon, because you get Michigan State and Stanford both at home. And coming in at number 12 with the easiest schedule is UCLA at a rating of 22.61. So that's a big drop off. And here's why. Their non-con is Bowling Green, Alabama State, and South Alabama. That's a joke. You go to Colorado, who's one of the weaker teams in the Pac-12. You get Washington and Utah both at home. You do have to go to Oregon. You get Stanford at home. You got to go to Arizona State. Tough to play, but they're struggling down there program-wise. You get Arizona at home. You get USC at home, and then you go to Cal. So really their only threatening road game is at Oregon, and then you could throw at Arizona State in there. So that schedule is a freaking joke. This schedule is, I believe, top 3 of the easiest schedules in the entire country, Power 5 wise. So those are my Pac-12 schedule ratings from toughest to weakest. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you think of the schedules down below. If I messed up somewhere, please let me know. Other than that, like I said, hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. See you.